Hey everyone, Karnak here, Star Wars Armada Explained. We're going to be looking at a unique Imperial officer. Oops, go. We're going to be looking at Admiral Montferrat. Admiral Montferrat is unique in the fact that he pretty much mirrors or mimics a commander ability from the Rebels, specifically Kraken. The developers pretty much took Kraken's ability, which is an Admiral ability for the Rebels, condense it down into a card form for the Empire where they could have a ship equipped with that. Let's take a look at him. So Montferrat is a unique officer. If you see there, you see a dot or bullet point in front of his name, signifies that you can only have one of them in your fleet. He equips to the officer slot, which you can tell if you look at the bottom left-hand corner of the card. You'll see the officer icon. He's faction specific for the Empire only, which you can see there next to his point cost, which is 5. His card reads, while defending against a ship, if your speed is 3 or higher, the attack is treated as obstructed. After you execute a maneuver, if you overlap the ship, discard this card. He does have one clarification. It reads, a ship with a face-up disengaged fire control damage card cannot target a ship equipped with Admiral Montferrat that is at speed 3 or higher. And what is that damage card, you say? Well, if you look here, disengage fire control. When declaring the target of an attack, you cannot choose a target against whom the attack would be obstructed. Pretty much if any ship is obstructed, you have this face-up damage card, you cannot shoot that ship. So pretty much pulling that card while you're facing off against Montferrat or Kraken, and you're going to have a bad time. Alright, I want to make sure I was covering that real quick. Let's dive into how does this card actually work then? So pretty much if you go on speed 1, speed 0, or speed 2, Montferrat does nothing for you. You're bringing 5 points of nothing. He only works if you're going at speed 3 or faster. So you could put him like on a Star Destroyer. A lot of people used to put him on like Gladiators, maybe the occasional Raider. The issue is that the Empire has a lot of competitiveness for points and for officer slots for officers that can do other things. So he has fallen somewhat out of favor. Doesn't mean he's not good at what he does, but at the same time, if your ship is getting shot at a lot to make use of his obstruction ability, are you really piloting the ship that well? But that's getting into some theory crafting. We're not here about that. So I'm going to use a Gladiator for this example. We're going to say he's going at a heckin' speed 3. And how does this work? So if you're at speed 3 or faster, Montferrat grants obstruction to your ship. So for example, this torpedo frigate, or excuse me, torpedo corvette, the Hammerhead, which throws a red, blue, and black out the front. In this example, before it would have been able to throw a single red die at the Gladiator. It's in range. We measured cardboard to cardboard, got line of sight, he's got it. No obstruction or anything else is technically in the way. So before he would have been able to throw like a red die, and then maybe if he had a concentrate fire, he could add that in. Try to overload like the evade token that the Gladiator comes with. Except in this situation with Montferrat, it grants the ship automatic obstruction, meaning that this Hammerhead no longer can draw a shot on the Gladiator because it only has the single red die, so the attack pool is automatically canceled because you remove a die before you roll your initial attack pool. So that's where Montferrat can be helpful, is it kind of can help him slip by some of these little single blink damage targets that otherwise maybe would have been able to to start stripping off some tokens or some shields off of him. Now Montferrat does have a caveat to his card, which is if you execute a maneuver, if you overlap a ship, you discard his card. Meaning that if you're driving your Gladiator and you overlap any other ship at any other point, doesn't matter if it's your ships or your opponent's ships or somebody else's ship, you have to discard him. Now, I do want to point out that I know that like the unarmed stations or armed stations, they ask you treat them as ships for attacks, not when you're actually overlapping them with your Gladiator. I want to make sure I'm pointing that out in like Corellian conflict or something like that. But it doesn't matter which ship you run into. Like for example, if I was to go speed 3 and smack even into something as rinky-dink as a flotilla. Well, I was a little short there, but just pretend like I ran into it. I fall back to the next available position. Uh, so even though I rammed the flotilla and the gladiator doesn't suffer any damage from ramming the flotilla would lose the whole point. Montferrat still gets discarded. And then you just turn him face down, and now you no longer have him. So that is Montferrat in a nutshell. Again, if you have the face-up damage card, disengage fire control, which means if you try to shoot at it, that card prevents you from shooting at obstructed targets. But for 5 points, again, not that so much that he's not any good, he just has been replaced by other really strategically valuable cards, Captain Brunson, for example. So that's, as far as I'm aware, there's no other crazy caveats or things that go along with this card. Again, remember, it's only when you are controlling that ship and executing that maneuver. If you ram, that's when you discard them. It doesn't matter if you ram the gladiator with one of your other ships, or if the enemy rams that ship, he doesn't get discarded. It's only when you execute a ram while activating that gladiator. But as with all things, if you feel like something's in error, if I missed something, please be sure to point it out. Let me know. I don't think I've missed anything, but I'm only human. Make mistakes. As always, I do appreciate you guys watching the video, and I will catch you next time.